In this video, I'm just going to show you very quickly how to make the graph for your data table in the lab. So I'm just going to open up this assignment here, and when I get down to the data, you should have final velocity here and then also time. So what we want to do is also make a note of this velocity right here, 0.6, which is the same all the way down, or for you it should be close to the same. If it's not, just do a quick average in your head. If some of these are 0.59 or 0.61, just make it 0.6. So we're going to highlight this here, and this actually was blank on the this section right here was actually blank, but we added that 0.6, so you just add that velocity right there. Then we're going to highlight the velocity and the time, and obviously this goes further down the paper, but I don't think I can highlight that, so I'll just copy this portion here. I'm going to copy that, and then I want to go to Google Sheets, and I want to add a spreadsheet. So I can add blank, and if you can't find that, if you just go to the top here, there'll be an icon for sheets. So I want to create a blank sheet here, and then I can just paste this anywhere. So I'll just right click and paste, and so now I'll have my table there, which is what I want, except I have to have my time in a different position. It has to be to the left of the velocity. So I want to paste that here. So now I've got time on the left, velocity on the right. The graphing function will actually put whatever's on the left-hand side will be the x-axis of the graph. So you got to make sure you get that right. So I'm going to go up to the top here where it says Insert. I'm going to insert Chart. And I want to find a scatter plot. So sometimes the scatter plot's listed here. If it's not, then you can go to Chart Types. And you want to find a scatter plot, which is just a bunch of dots on the paper like this. Click that, and I should have a graph that looks something like this. Hopefully it's somewhat linear. I'll go to Insert, and now I've got my graph. So my title is backwards here. I want to change that. So if I take this graph and I right click, or I can just select over here Advanced Edit, I can change whatever I want on the graph. So I can change it to velocity versus time. And then if I scroll a little bit further down, I can change what the horizontal axis and the vertical axis are. So I know that time is on the x-axis, and I put my units there, seconds. And then I can change the vertical to velocity. And that's going to be in meters per second. And then I want to do the slope of the graph. So the slope of the graph will be down here at the bottom where it says trend line. It's the very last option. I select trend line, I do linear, and I'll get a nice linear graph there. My graph is linear, and then I want to go to underneath that. This will appear as soon as you click linear. This will give you use equation. And what this means right here is y equals mx plus b. This portion right here I'll highlight. That's the slope of your graph, and that should actually match what you have. So click update, and then when I go back to my actual calculations for acceleration, if you notice all of these in this column here are all 0.8, and on my graph, my spreadsheet shows that the slope is about 0.835, which is pretty close to what the slope, what the calculated acceleration was. So I'm going to go back to this here, and I'm just going to right-click on this, and if it's done properly, I haven't made many changes, all the changes I need to make, but I'm just going to click on this, and I'm going to Control-C on my computer, and then I'm going to go back to my data table here, and right underneath this data table, which I believe I need to scroll a little bit further down, I need to add this. So this is already here. I'm just going to delete it, and then I'll go Control-V. Control-V is pasting. Now ask me if I want to link this. I want to link it because if I decide to make changes to my graph, it will update the graph if I make the changes in the corresponding spreadsheet. So I can exit out of this. I could go back and rename that if I want, but now I've got my graph, and when I explain this in my conclusion, this equation right here is y equals mx plus b, and what that means is y is the velocity and m is the slope, so that's the rate that you speed up or the acceleration. B is right here, it's the 0.596, that's actually the initial velocity. So this is sort of like running a race, but you're cheating. So when the starting pistol goes off at 0 seconds, you're already moving at 0.596 meters per second. And if I said, well, x is not 1 second, but maybe way down here, 30 seconds, then I would know my equation is velocity equals my acceleration multiplied by whatever time I decide I want to punch in there, plus the initial velocity. And that will tell me what my final velocity is, which would be way up here if we made another graph.